I forwarded my wife's ultrasound to my sister, a renowned radiologist, to share our happiness. She called back moments later, her voice trembling. Go home now. Take her to a different hospital. What's wrong? Is the baby okay? I asked. Don't let your wife know we talked, she warned. You're scaring me. I yelled. Her next words shattered me completely. Okay, settle in because I have a story for you, a story about how your entire world can unravel in a single phone call. I thought I had it all, a perfect life, a thriving business, a beautiful wife, and best of all, a baby on the way. But then one terrifying whisper from my sister shattered everything. Have you ever had a moment where pure joy turned to absolute terror in an instant? Because that's exactly what happened to me. I had just sent my sister, Lee, a copy of Bethany's latest ultrasound, our ultrasound. Lee, a brilliant radiologist, was supposed to celebrate with us. Instead, her voice came through the phone, barely a whisper, tight with an emotion I couldn't even name. Get home now, she choked out. You need to take her to a hospital, a different one. My blood ran cold. What? Is the baby okay? I stammered, and that's when she dropped the bombshell that changed my life forever. Do not tell your wife you spoke to me. Do you hear me? I shouted, You're scaring me, Lee. Then she said it, the horrifying truth that left me absolutely speechless. I was Harvey Walters, 34 years old, and honestly, I was living the dream. My cybersecurity firm was crushing it. I had a beautiful home, and my wife, Bethany, after 3 amazing years of marriage, was pregnant. We were over the moon. Bethany, with her vibrant red hair and those sparkling green eyes, was everything I thought I ever wanted. I'd met her at a tech conference, and it had been a whirlwind romance, proposing on a beach in Maui just 6 months later. Life was, in a word, perfect. You should send it to your sister. Bethany had called from the kitchen that morning. She'd love to see it. And she was right. My older sister, Lee, wasn't just a radiologist. She was one of the country's leading experts, someone who'd practically raised me after our mom passed. If anyone could appreciate the miracle in that grainy image, it was Lee. So I clicked send, a proud grin on my face. Guess who's going to be an aunt? 8 weeks along. Beth and I are over the moon. Bethany always seemed a little tense around Lee, but I'd brushed it off. She means well, I'd say. She just worries. I didn't know how right I was. That day, Bethany left for the pharmacy, muttering about prenatal vitamins and woman stuff. I watched her go, a tiny flicker of unease at how quickly she'd silenced her buzzing phone. But I pushed it aside. Pregnancy stress, I figured. Just nerves. Then Lee called. Her voice wasn't just quiet. It was raw with unspoken fear. Where are you right now? Is Bethany there? My stomach dropped. No, she went to the pharmacy. Lee, you're really scaring me. Is something wrong with the baby? A long, agonizing pause. I could almost see her in her office, her brilliant, analytical mind racing through possibilities. Then came the frantic, urgent command. Get home now. Take her to a hospital. A different one. Do not tell your wife you spoke to me. This is crucial, Harvey. I was on my feet, my chair, scraping backward. What? Is the baby okay? Listen to me carefully, she said, her voice now a cold, steel-like whisper. That ultrasound you sent me. I need to know exactly where Bethany had it done. What facility? What doctor? Everything. Dr. Morrison's office on Elm Street, I blurted, my mind a jumble. Lee, please, just tell me what's going on. I know Morrison, she cut me off. Harvey, I need you to trust me without asking questions. Can you do that? Get the original printout, not a photo. Look at the bottom right corner. There should be a facility identifier code, a date stamp, a patient ID. Text me those numbers. Don't call. Text. Why? I demanded, my voice cracking. And then she delivered the blow that felt like a physical assault. Because that image has been edited. Professionally edited. And I think, she paused, her voice shaking, I think we need to verify some things before I say anything else. Harvey, if I'm right, your wife isn't pregnant. The line went dead. I stood there, phone in hand, as the perfect life I'd built began to crumble. Edited? Not pregnant. What the hell was happening? My hands were shaking as I climbed the stairs. My cybersecurity training kicked in. Trust but verify. Bethany kept all her important documents in her nightstand. I'd never had a reason to look before. The ultrasound was tucked neatly in a folder labeled Baby. I pulled it out, my heart pounding. Standard thermal paper. A clearly visible 8-week fetus. I snapped a photo of the bottom corner. Facility code MHC 2891. Date stamp last Tuesday. Patient ID BW447823. I texted it to Lee, then sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the image, utterly bewildered. What had my sister seen? 20 minutes later, Lee called back, her voice now steady, professional, but laced with a chilling resolve. I called Monique Morrison directly. Harvey, she has no patient named Bethany Walters in her system. She never has. The room tilted. I sank back onto the bed. The patient ID number? It belongs to a woman named Jennifer Velasquez. She had an ultrasound 3 months ago. She's 26 weeks pregnant now. Lee's voice softened slightly. The facility code is real. The date stamp has been changed. Bethany somehow got access to another patient's ultrasound and altered the date. How is that even possible? I whispered. She works in pharmaceutical sales, Harvey. She has access to medical offices. She knows the systems. She knows how to talk to staff. It wouldn't be hard to photograph an ultrasound during a sales call, especially if she befriended a nurse. Lee paused and I braced myself. Harvey, I'm so sorry, but there's more. More. The word echoed like a death knell. I called 2 other OB/GYN offices near your house. None of them have a Bethany Walters as a patient. Have you actually seen her take a pregnancy test? Have you been to any appointments with her? I thought back. The positive test. She'd shown me the stick, glowing with 2 pink lines, but I'd been in my office when she took it. She'd come downstairs crying with joy, and I just believed. The appointments? Always alone. Morning appointments are easier, she'd said. You're always so busy. The symptoms? Tiredness. A few complaints of nausea. Never actually sick. Never morning sickness. Jesus, I breathed. There's something else you need to know, Lee continued, her tone changing. When I was asking around, trying to be discreet, one of the nurses at the 3rd office I called recognized Bethany's name immediately. Because Bethany came in 4 months ago asking about tubal ligation. She wanted to make sure she couldn't get pregnant. The words hit me like a physical blow. I stood up, needing to move, needing to scream. Why? Why would she do this? I don't know, Lee said. But Harvey, you need to be smart about this. Don't confront her yet. We need to figure out what her endgame is. I suggested a private investigator. Lee cut me off. You're a cybersecurity expert, Harvey. You find digital dirt for a living. Use your skills. Check her phone records, her email, her bank accounts. Find out what she's planning before she knows you're onto her. My shock was hardening into something cold, something resolute. I'd built a career finding hidden threats. It was time to turn those skills on my own wife. One more thing, Lee added, be careful. People who orchestrate deceptions this elaborate usually have a bigger plan, and they usually don't work alone. I went to my office, locked the door, and pulled up my remote access software. I'd set up our home network with admin access to every device, including Bethany's phone. 10 minutes. That's all it took to clone her data. Text messages, call logs, emails, photos. Everything. What I found made my blood run cold. Hundreds of texts to a number saved as D. They went back 8 months, just after our 2nd anniversary. intimate, sexual, planning meetups while I was away. But it was the recent messages that ripped through me. D, how much longer do we have to keep this up? Bethany, just a few more weeks. He'll sign a life insurance increase this month. Has to. D, and if he doesn't, Bethany? Bethany, then we move to Plan B. The accident. D, I still think Plan B is risky. Bethany, $2 million isn't risky. It's worth it. Once he's gone, we're set for life. She wasn't just faking a pregnancy. She was planning to kill me. She'd convinced me to increase my life insurance for the baby's future needs. $2 million. Active in 2 weeks. The accident messages were vague but chilling. Something about a hiking trip I'd planned, making it look natural. I scrolled through photos she'd exchanged with Dee. My stomach churned. The man was Dean Mann, a personal trainer at Bethany's gym. Younger than me, muscular, with a cocky grin that made me want to smash his face in. Then I found the financial records. A separate bank account I didn't know about. Small deposits, skimming money from our joint account for months. Lee was right. I needed to be smart. Going to the police now would be my word against hers. The insurance wasn't active yet. The texts were vague enough. No, I needed more. I needed to catch them in the act. Document everything. Build a case so airtight they'd never see freedom again. And I was going to do it my way. I, Harvey Walters, cybersecurity expert, was about to set the most elaborate trap of my life. By the time Bethany came home, 2 hours later, I was already laying the groundwork for their destruction. She walked in, bright and innocent. Sorry I took so long. Ran into an old friend. I looked up from my laptop, forcing a smile that didn't reach my eyes. No problem. How are you feeling? Tired, she said, placing a hand on her stomach, a gesture I now recognized as pure theater. The baby's really taking it out of me. After she went upstairs, I continued my digging. Dean Mann, a record, DUI, dismissed assault, a man with poor impulse control, a taste for easy money. He lived beyond his means. He was exactly the type to agree to murder for cash. Then my phone buzzed. An unknown number. This is Vernon Hancock. Lee gave me your number. I understand you need discreet assistance. Vernon Hancock, a retired FBI agent, now a PI. Lee was wasting no time. I called him. Mr. Walters, he said, his voice gravelly authoritative. Your sister explained the situation. I'm very sorry. I laid it all out. The fake pregnancy, the life insurance, the planned accident. Vernon listened, making notes. 2 million motive. Clear conspiracy, premeditation. You've got the beginnings of a solid case, he concluded. But you're right to want more. We need them on record, discussing specific plans. Audio, video if possible. I can install monitoring software on her phone remotely, I said. But I need to be careful about admissibility. Let me worry about admissibility. You focus on gathering evidence through legal means. Anything you can access as the homeowner, the joint account holder, the husband. Vernon paused. There's something you should know. Cases like this, where someone's planning your murder. Time is critical. If they sense you're onto them, they might accelerate their plans. The insurance policy activates in 12 days, I replied, my voice hard. I don't think they'll move before then, unless they get spooked. Be careful, Mr. Walters. Play the loving husband. Don't give them any reason to suspect. After hanging up, I spent hours setting up monitoring protocols, a keylogger on Bethany's laptop, alerts for specific keywords, a secure server for evidence. Then I did what my years in cybersecurity taught me. I looked for the pattern behind the pattern. Bethany wasn't smart enough to plan this alone. This level of deception, the fake ultrasound, the timing, the insurance scheme, it screamed experienced. I dug deeper into Dean Mann's history, and there it was. 5 years ago, he dated a married woman, Trudy Kane. 6 months later, her wealthy husband died in a boating accident. A $1.5 million insurance payout. Ruled accidental. Trudy eventually married Dean. Then divorced 2 years later, keeping most of the money. Dean had done this before. Seduce married women, help them kill their husbands for insurance, take his cut. I called Vernon again. I need you to look into a woman named Trudy Kane in Phoenix. I think our friend Dean has done this before. On it. In the meantime, I'll start surveillance tomorrow. I've got a female operative who can join Peak Fitness. Get close to Dean. See what he says when he thinks no one important is listening. Perfect. And Vernon, I added, I want to know every detail of their plan. Not so I can avoid it, so I can turn it against them. That night, I lay next to Bethany, listening to her breathe. She was curled against me, her hand resting on my chest, playing the role of the devoted, pregnant wife. Had any of it been real? Or had she been planning this from the start? My phone buzzed. A text from Vernon. Found something interesting about Trudy Kane. She's broke. Dean took her for almost everything in the divorce. Dean had a pattern, and Bethany was just his latest mark. But they didn't expect me. I had Lee's warning, time to prepare, and skills they couldn't match. As Bethany slept, dreaming of her $2 million payday, I began planning their nightmare. The trap was set. Now I just needed to bait it perfectly. The next 3 days were pure theater. I played the loving husband, kissing Bethany goodbye every morning, asking about her day and the baby every evening. Every spare moment I gathered evidence. Vernon's operative, Erica Mack, infiltrated Peak Fitness and was reporting back. Subject is arrogant, her texts read. Bragged about setting up a big payday. Mentioned having a rich boyfriend who's about to have an accident. Direct quote. Some guys are just too stupid to see what's coming. I saved everything. On the 4th day, Vernon called. I found Trudy Kane. She says Dean's MO is consistent. He targets women in unhappy marriages, suggests the insurance scheme, helps plan the accident, then takes his cut. He's done this at least 3 times. Vernon's voice darkened. She also said Dean has a partner, someone who helps him make the accidents look natural. A big guy. Kurt something. She said he was scary. My mind raced. I searched Peak Fitness's website. Kurt Marr, a contractor who'd done renovations. My digging revealed a violent history, dishonorable discharge from the military. It wasn't just Bethany and Dean. There was a third, someone who knew how to kill. Vernon, I said, I found the partner. Kurt Marr. We need surveillance on him, too. Already on it. He's scheduled to do repairs on a hiking trail in Black Rock State Park next week. Vernon's voice was grim. I'm betting that's where your accident was supposed to happen. Black Rock State Park. I'd mentioned wanting to hike there before winter. Weeks ago, Bethany had encouraged me. Fresh air would be good for your stress. Now I knew why. Vernon, I need you to check the trail. Find out what they're planning. On it. But Harvey, we're running out of time. The insurance policy activates in 7 days. I knew, but I needed everything documented. Every piece of evidence locked down. So when this was over, Bethany, Dean, and Kurt would spend the rest of their lives in prison. That evening, Bethany made my favorite dinner. She was extra attentive. You seem stressed, she said, pouring my wine. Maybe you should take that hiking trip. Clear your head before the baby comes. I smiled at her, seeing her clearly now. The fake concern, the eagerness in her eyes. She was pushing me toward my death. You know what? You're right. I'll go this weekend. I took her hand. Thank you for being so understanding. She leaned in and kissed me. That's what partners do. We take care of each other. The irony was a bitter taste in my mouth. Later, I checked the monitoring software. New messages. Dean, he's taking the bait. Kurt says everything's ready. Bethany, make it quick. I don't want him to suffer. Dean, since when do you care? Bethany, I don't. I just don't want any complications. Then, something else. Photos Bethany had sent Dean. Pictures of me, sleeping. Pictures of me at my computer, working. She'd been cataloging my routines, helping them plan my murder. My phone rang. Lee. Harvey, I need to tell you something. I've been thinking about why I never liked Bethany. She reminded me of a patient, a con artist who faked an assault to clean out joint accounts. Bethany's a con artist. Her voice hardened. I looked into her employment history. 7 different pharmaceutical companies in 5 years. That's unusual. She's been running schemes, moving on before anyone catches on. This wasn't just about the fake pregnancy. Bethany was a predator, and I was just her latest mark. But unlike her previous victims, I knew how to fight back. Lee, I asked, keeping my voice steady, if this goes bad, if something happens to me, promise me you'll make sure they go to prison. Every single one of them. A long silence. Then, I promise. But you're going to be fine, Harvey. You're the smartest person I know. If anyone can outsmart these people, it's you. I pulled up my planning document. Vernon's team had identified the exact location for the accident. A cliff trail with a 100-foot drop. Kurt had been seen loosening the guardrail. They wanted it to look like I'd fallen while hiking alone. Simple. Clean. Accidental. But I had a different plan. The trap was almost complete. The next morning, I withdrew $50,000 in cash, telling the teller it was for a business investment. Then I visited my attorney, Mitch, a friend from college. I need to make some changes to my will. He raised an eyebrow. Everything okay? The baby, I lied smoothly. I want to add a clause. If I die within the next year under circumstances later determined to be criminal, all assets go to my sister Lee, and a fund should be established to pursue prosecution of any involved parties. Mitch frowned. That's unusually specific, Harvey. Professional paranoia, I shrugged. You know how it is. Just being cautious. Next, I called the insurance company, confirming details about the suicide exclusion clause and the contestability period. Bethany was counting on a quick payout. She had no idea how many obstacles I was putting in her path. That afternoon, Vernon called. We've got audio. Erica wore a wire. Dean talked. He described the whole plan. The hiking trail, the loose railing, how Kurt would be nearby to make sure you fell. He even mentioned the insurance money and how he and Bethany were going to split it. Vernon's voice was triumphant. We've got him. And by extension, we've got all of them. We have enough for an arrest. Not yet, I said, my voice steel. I need them to make their move. I need attempted murder charges, not just conspiracy. This is just another security breach, Vernon, and I know exactly how to patch it. That evening, over dinner, I dropped my next bombshell. I went to the bank today, I said casually to Bethany. Withdrew some cash for the hiking trip. You know, emergency money. Her eyes flickered. $50,000. For a hiking trip? She asked, feigning surprise. Well, I was thinking about the baby. What if something happens to me? I want you to have immediate access to funds. I reached across the table and took her hand. I'm going to put it in the safe. The combination is our anniversary. 08272022. I watched the wheels turn in her head. 50 grand cash, easily accessible. I was sweetening the pot, making the risk even more worthwhile. That's very thoughtful, she said softly, but I'm sure you'll be fine. I love you, Beth. I want you and the baby to be taken care of no matter what. She smiled at me, and for a fleeting second, I wondered if there was any guilt. But when she leaned in to kiss me, all I saw was calculation. Later, the monitoring software confirmed it. Bethany, he put $50,000 in the safe. Combination is our anniversary. Dean, nice bonus. We stick to the plan, Bethany. Bethany, absolutely. This weekend, make sure Kurt is ready. Dean, he's been ready. Question is, are you? Bethany, I've been ready since I said I do. This has always been the plan. This has always been the plan. She'd married me, intending to kill me. 3 years of lies. I should have felt devastated. Instead, I felt focused. The next day, I met Vernon in a parking garage. "Here's how it's going to work," I said, spreading a map of Black Rock State Park. "I'm going to hike to the Cliff Trail Saturday morning. You'll have teams positioned here, here, and here. When Kurt makes his move, you document everything, then intervene before anyone actually gets hurt." Vernon studied the map. "You're using yourself as bait." "I'm using myself as proof," I corrected, a cold smile touching my lips. "Bethany and Dean think they're running a con. They have no idea I've been running one on them. Their vulnerability is their arrogance. They think I'm stupid. They're about to learn how wrong they are." Friday evening, I loaded my hiking gear, kissed Bethany goodbye. "Be safe," she murmured sleepily. "Always am," I replied. That night, I barely slept. I reviewed every piece of evidence, every detail. Vernon's teams were in position. The police were briefed. Tomorrow, the trap would spring. Saturday morning came with a blood-red sunrise. I dressed in my hiking gear, moving quietly. "Be safe," Bethany mumbled as I opened the bedroom door. "Always am," I replied, the words automatic, empty. I drove to Black Rock State Park. Vernon and his team were already in position. 3 surveillance points, hidden cameras, undercover officers.